Okay, I'm back on the 4440 again, and now we got a quad range transmission here and a perma wet clutch. And today I want to do some checks on it. Um, Basically because when I try to back up to a wagon, it's just you can't slip the clutch. It's either all of it or none of it. So this has been like this ever since we had a bearing replaced in the transmission when we got it back from Deere. It's just you just cannot back up to an implement. It's all the clutch or none of the clutch. So what I'm gonna do is take a measurement now from the bottom of the clutch pedal to the top of the floor pan. I should have 5.5 inches. And I basically have that. I'm basically right at 5.5 inches. And now to adjust that, there is a nut right here. It's kind of a hex nut. And then you'll notice that this rod is offset. Now this is the linkage that goes to your clutch. And what you do is to adjust that, there's a cotter pin right there. You take that out, and like I said, this is basically like a big nut that fits into here. And you take that out, and then you can rotate that either way to get that adjustment where you want it. Now you're going to get within, just get that within 5.5 inches, as close as you can from there to there. It doesn't really give you a tolerance. It just says 5.5 inches. So basically all you can do is take that out and rotate it and get as close as you can to 5.5 inches. So if you're good there, then we can go on to hydraulic settings. And now what I've got, and I got this off of Amazon. I talked about this in the hydraulic pressure video. This fitting fits right on. This is actually meant for, that kit was meant for a Caterpillar service kit, but it did not come with this gauge. This gauge I got at Harbor Freight for 14 bucks. It goes to 230 psi. The book recommends 300, but we're only going to like a maximum of 180 pounds here is what we're going to be looking at. So let's see if I can squeeze in here. Okay, so right here we're looking at the clutch, and I take this cap off, and that's where this handy little guy comes in, because it just literally plugs right into there. And now, oh man, I'm having a time trying to fit in here. Anyway, now this nut here underneath is, well, inside here in this valve body, there are shims, and each shim, each shim is roughly 5 pounds, equals 5 pounds approximately. And so that you got your spring and your valve in here, and then you just take that nut off, and there should be a stack of shims. So I don't know, we might have to get to that, but maybe not. So first thing I got to do is have the tractor warmed up, which it already is. I just let it sit here and run for an hour. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to try to get my gauge somewhere where I can see it from the floor in the tractor, because I got the floor pan out. Oh, I'm probably not going to be able to do that. I'm probably just going to have to climb in and out of the tractor. Okay, so now what I'm going to be doing is I got to start the tractor at 1,000 RPMs. My gauge should read between 160 and 170 psi. And at 1,500 RPMs, it should read between 165 to 175 psi. And then at 2000 RPM, it should be between 170 and 180 PSI. Let's start it up and see what we got. Okay, there's 1000 RPM. Let's go look at our gauge. Looks like we're between 165 and 170 PSI. Okay, now let's go up to 1500 RPM. Okay, now as I'm checking clutch pressure, I'm just going to slowly push in and release the clutch while I watch my pressure. It should react as I press the clutch. It should drop to 0 when I press it all the way in, and then I'll slowly depress it, and then the pressure should rise as I do that. I'd say that test passed. Okay, now everything there was right as it should be, as far as my tolerances and my measurements. Now, as far as why my clutch is like that, maybe I'm just being picky, but you know, I had a 4430 that you could back up and just slip that clutch like nobody's business. Same thing with that 4755 over there. That thing, you can back up to grain carts and wagons with that thing, no problem. It's great. But this guy, it acts like a pulling tractor. And now the clutch is good in it, that we know of. And there is a list of diagnostics I could go through. But I don't think it's going to change anything. I more or less have just made this video to for everyone else to have kind of a reference on how to do this, because I looked around and I had quite a time looking for this knowledge. As a matter of fact, you know, this is pretty much going to cover most of your John Deere tractors from like your mid 70s, like like a 4430 all the way up to like that 4755 over there. But the thing is now the tolerances in this video are just to a 4440. That's what we're working on, so that's what the tolerances are for. They're all a little bit different. So if you have something different, then the only thing I can probably tell you there is quickest answer would probably be call your John Deere dealer, ask them. Otherwise, if you Google it, you might get lucky. You might find the answer right away. Otherwise, any comments or anything like that is always appreciated. Anybody's input. We kind of like to use this as a little bit of a forum on this particular subject. So, with that being said, I guess this is going to be the end of the video. So, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again for the next adventure.